Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Tiger Family Talks, Falling in Love with Your Major. If you joined us at the beginning of this session, you may have heard some of those love songs. Valentine's Day is coming up, and what better way to celebrate than students being passionate about their major and finding one that's the right fit for them. We're so excited that you are joining us today. My name is Lindsay McCrory, and I serve as the manager of Parent and Family Programs. Our office is dedicated to supporting Tiger families like you and providing information and resources to help support your Tiger's college experience. So we have people joining us on a couple of different platforms. If you're joining us on Zoom, welcome. And if you're on Facebook Live, hello everyone. Just a couple of notes that I want to go over. So if you're on Zoom, we have a couple of features. We have the Q&A bar at the bottom of your screen. Use that when you have a question for any of our panelists or speakers tonight, or if you want to ask our office a specific question. You can also use the chat, and I encourage all of you to use that right now. The chat, make sure you click all panelists and attendees so everyone can see your response. And go ahead and introduce yourself and let us know where you are viewing from. I'd love to see where everybody is from. I am a Louisiana gal myself. My colleague, Carly Bordelon, is also joining us today. She is also from Louisiana. But where is everybody else joining us from? I know we have some panelists. Awesome. Butch introduced himself. He is from Houston. Kalita is from Lawrenceville, Georgia. Hi, Kalita. Great to see you. We've got Maryland. Hi, Adeline. All right, keep those rolling in. Awesome. Thank y'all for introducing yourselves. It's going to be a great time, and we're excited that you're joining us. So if you have a question that's not related to tonight's topic, I will say that you can go ahead and email our office. Our email address is lsufamily@lsu.edu, and we'll be sharing that throughout the presentation. We'd love to help you and make sure that you get everything answered. So we want to get a better understanding of who's joining us here today. And so we have a few poll questions that we want to ask. If you're on Zoom, you're going to see a poll pop up on your screen in just a moment. And if you're on Facebook, I'm going to be sharing the questions on our screen now. So the first question is, what classification is your Tiger? So I'm going to ask our Facebook users to just put that in the comments. And everybody else, I'm going to see your answers roll in. Who do we have joining us? All right. So let's see. First question, what classification is your Tiger? So far, looks like we've got several freshman families joining us, a couple of sophomores, and we'll share the results in just a moment. My second question for our Facebook users, since you can't see the poll, just put this in the comments. How confident is your Tiger in their choice of major/career? Very, somewhat, or not at all? All right. Our next question for Facebook viewers, how confident are you in your Tiger's choice of major career? So the first one was, how confident is your Tiger? And then now we want to know, how confident are you? Very, somewhat, or not at all? All right, and our last question, what do you think your Tiger needs to know most about or more about? And you can select all that apply. So LSU majors, occupations, careers, how to find which major career best fits them, how to declare or change their major, and where to find resources at LSU. So I see responses still rolling in. I'm going to keep this on the screen for our Facebook Live viewers. And Carly, correct me if I'm wrong. Can everybody see the responses on the screen?
Everybody should be able to see the responses.
Perfect. All right, y'all. So a few freshmen, a couple of sophomore, a couple of juniors. Perfect. How confident is your Tiger in their major/career? It's kind of split. So a couple of you said very, a couple said somewhat, and then one not at all. All of you are in the right place. We're going to talk about and cover whatever spectrum you're on tonight. How confident are you in your Tiger's major or career choice? So it looks like the majority say somewhat. And then our last question, what do you think your Tiger needs to know more about? Perfect. What do you think your Tiger needs to know more about? And it looks like most of you selected occupations, careers. The next highest choice was how to find which major or career best fits them. And then followed by where to find LSU resources. All right, so sorry for all the back and forth with the poll. Looks like it's a little long of a poll today. We'll stop sharing it and I'm gonna move on. So we're excited to have you join us no matter what information you are looking for, whether your Tiger is undecided or maybe your Tiger is trying to decide about changing their major. We're gonna cover all of that and more. So we'll start tonight with a presentation from the Olinde Career Center. We are joined by Joyce Fields. And so before I introduce Joyce, I just want to say a couple of things. She is going to go over a little bit of content on the website. And so she's going to be bouncing around from different web pages. We will be linking those pages in the chat section in case you want to follow along that way if it's too small on your screen for any reason. And we also will be following up with you via email to share everything that we've talked about tonight, including some additional resources. So you'll get all of this, don't worry, you'll be able to follow along. After we have a presentation from Joyce with the Olinde Career Center, we will have a parent and student panel to share their perspective and information about their views and advice and tips to be even more helpful for you. So we've got a lot of great content for this evening, and I'm excited to have Joyce take it away.
Lindsay, thank you so much, and I'm so glad that you all have joined us tonight. It's just fun to be with you in this space. So my name is Joyce Fields. I do work with the Olinde Career Center. I serve on our student services team. I do have the opportunity and privilege of managing our career decision-making focus on the student services team, and that is primarily where I will be speaking about and from tonight. So again, welcome. I want to offer that a statistic. Maybe you've heard this. It is very common for students to change their major in college. Doing a little bit of research on it, all of the research reflects that about 30% of students change their major during college. And in addition to that, 10%, okay, 1 out of 10 will change it more than once. And interestingly, statistics indicate that the ones that change it a little bit more than the others are actually our STEM, our math and science majors, which for me doesn't surprise me because I work at LSU, I work with students, I understand how that can happen. So as I dive in a little bit, just to share some perspective and resources, I would like us all as parents, and I'm a parent, to reflect back to when we were the age of our Tigers and recall what our decision process might have felt like and how we entered into whatever decisions we were making, whether we changed majors or chose one and stayed with it, what influenced that, what kind of variables, outside inputs, as well as our own internal perspective on that. So again, I would just offer that it is tricky, it is difficult. When you're 18, entering college, 18 or so, your experience in the world is somewhat limited. You've been exposed to what your parents do, perhaps what teachers have informed you about. Obviously, the internet and social media informs. But having real world experience to really gauge what is that best fit is somewhat limited still at 18. And so as I'm about to dive in, I do want to share with you that my history at LSU did begin actually as an academic counselor. So I spent a number of years, actually 10, as an academic counselor in the Center for Freshman Year. So most likely you've heard about that division or that department at LSU. They are the ones that welcome all incoming students their first year, sometimes into their second. And I'm a huge fan of them. Having worked there, I know that it is a wonderful opportunity for those students who are not clear to know that they can interact with those counselors. Those counselors have a lot of knowledge and insights about all of the majors and senior colleges at LSU. So this is a shout out to them. It is also where freshmen typically would go to change their major. So as I dive into how do we figure out what that major might be, again, the Center for Freshman Year, where the academic counselors are, is where they would actually change their major. So as I work with the LSU Olinde Career Center, I do serve as a career counselor. So that is my background and training, and that is what I call the headspace that I get to help students and alum with, having a lot of alumni conversations these days as well. So this is our website, so lsu.edu/career center. It's pretty easy to get to us, a lot of different ways Googling works, but this is our website. And so I'm going to do just a little bit of diving in. And so I'm going to click on students and alumni. All of the resources and perspectives about, for our exploring students or students who are really wanting to know best fit would be found in our students and alumni tab. And then, and I love this, we have 4 portals. I call them windows. This is my world primarily that I get to assist students with, explore your passions. I do want to highlight though, our mission in the Olinde Career Center is to prepare students to be tomorrow's future leaders. So not only are we about helping them discern what is the path, but we also help prepare them for that next step, that, professional employment. Again, I'm a parent. We celebrate when our children do get those opportunities to work and make money and fund their own lives after college. So a lot here. And again, some students do go on to that next level of education. That is what this portal is for. And we absolutely serve our alumni as well, which is very exciting. I'm going to dive in here and show you some things that can both inform you, but also can, you can share with your Tiger if that seems like the appropriate thing. So our major and career decision-making page does have quite a few wonderful opportunities to explore. However, we actually have built a nice guide, and it is in this very first portal. So I will click here. And under self-guided resources, it is the first guide. So as I show this to students, I tell them just click on the first thing, the first thing, the first thing. That works. And so here we have our 5-step guide. We actually refined and pulled this together in a way that I just am very happy for our students to access, which includes our incoming high school students. Anyone has access to this. It's public, so that's pretty cool. And as I talk about this briefly tonight, I would suggest that the more we understand ourselves, the more we understand what those actual jobs and careers are about, and if we're going to get a major at LSU, the more we understand the majors, the better equipped we are to make a decision that is a good decision. And so the good news is we do offer career assessments. Now I want to show you that right here, we built in the links. We even give them the passcode. These 2 assessments that we link, the Type Focus and the Focus 2, are terrific. They are brief, they're online, they do provide immediate results for the person who takes them, and that's terrific because now they can just move through this and do some exploration, and they can choose to meet with us if they'd like, but they are not required to get some nice, helpful input. When I was in college, I chose a major based on some things I knew about myself back then, and I was close. I love to help people, and I didn't know a lot about different options, so I knew I didn't like blood. I chose to go into teaching. Great occupation. I have the highest regard for folks that are teaching our children. However, when I got to my last semester of college, I realized that that was not the best fit for me, that I did not know why. I did not have the understanding, the language. I did not have the clarity that career assessments offer to understand why that was not my best fit. So I think that can happen with our students. They start taking those courses. Sounds great to be an engineer, a physical therapist, a doctor. I mean, pick whatever it is. And then they start taking the courses and they don't always enjoy them, or they don't always thrive in them. They don't always do well. So again, free assessments. We do have links here that provide great, rich information about majors. So let me just give you a little bit of, that carrot of dangling, that carrot of what you can see here, what they can see. The LSU has put this website together. A huge fan of it. The pictures, I like. The simple descriptions are great. There are 15 of these. So when I work with students, I might show them this. I scroll through them. I suggest that they then look and consider which of these are inviting to them, which are the ones that they think, yeah, that might be me. And then I suggest, well, click into one. If health is something that intrigues you, that interests you, what maybe majors might be at LSU that you knew about or you didn't know about. Speech therapy, I never heard about it when I was in college. When I learned about it after college, I thought, wow, what a cool occupation. So a neat opportunity. And then of course they can even dive in and know more. It gives descriptions, video, just some nice introductory information. So again, huge fan of that. They do not have to go through our website. I am backing out of it. You can see that. But we do link it in our 5-step guide. In addition, just to show you, in case you've heard about the general catalog, maybe they've heard about it, but not really sure how to find it, what to do with it. Again, this is students will over time know about that catalog. Freshmen, not always. So maybe there's a major that I'm interested in, and it would be good for me to know more about it. And so again, my conversations with students would be, go look, go see, what courses will you be taking? What if that student says, oh, I'm not sure I want all of that biology and chemistry? Well, that's insight. But it's also an opportunity to actually read the course descriptions. And so I recommend that they do that and get a read on how interesting is that to them and really see what is built in for the 8-semester journey that they will be on if they choose that major. So that is the general catalog. It's certainly important. I believe that students know what's down the path for them when they choose a major, so the general catalog has all of that information. Now, a few of you might have students who actually want to maybe be a major that they or you are not sure what they're going to do with it. Psychology is one of those majors that many students love, and some of their parents say, what are you going to do with that? So I'm not going to go there quite yet. I will go there. Okay, I'm thinking out loud, right? Let me show you what's here. So it says, go into our website. Lindsay, I know you'll tell me if I lose you all on the screen, but I think you can see me. So this right in the middle, what can I do with this major? We pay for access. We don't put the time and energy and money into this website. Actually, the University of Tennessee does, and many universities pay for access. And so I'm a psychology major, but my parents aren't sure what I'm going to do with it. Maybe you're the parent saying, what are you going to do with that? And it is rich with possibilities. And so it breaks it down into areas. It gives them strategies to move it forward. And so many different areas. I won't go through it all. I'll scroll real quickly to the bottom because I do this to show students, wow, you want to know more? There's all of these additional links to websites with rich opportunities to learn more, in this case, about the field of psychology. So I did click in this middle portal. I could have gone straight there instead of using the 5-step guide, but the guide does encourage me where to go. And lastly, as far as the guide goes, I will offer that the federal government does an awesome job with the ONET and the OOH. I actually have them open, so let me just go straight to the ONET. I love this website. If your Tiger happens to do a career assessment and learns what their areas of interest are, there's a theory called Holland's theory that uses, hang on, let me just, instead of clicking hover, I'll just show you. I know this is a lot, but it's just, again, so cool. When I show this to students, they, many of them get very excited. So if they know what their top area of interest is, maybe they've done a career assessment. Oh, look, they could even do the one right here. So maybe they're high investigative. They love the sciences, thought about being a doctor. Wow, is the ONET going to slow down here? What it will do, great, populates with all kinds of possibilities. Chances are they've heard of some of them. Chances are we've all maybe not heard of all of these. The numbers represent the level of education. So I take them to the 4s. That's a 4-year degree. The 5 is probably need one more layer of education. They can actually click in and learn all about what that person might be doing in their world of work. And what I would suggest is an objective description. And that can be really helpful because we all have people in our ears suggesting what we should or shouldn't do, what we will or won't like. I'm a parent. I totally understand that. However, sometimes we're spot on and sometimes they just, might not be headed where we think they should. So I do want to show you just a couple other things real quick. Again, I clicked into the Students and Alumni tab. And so everything as far as the resources I've shown you, most of them were here, actually all of them were here in Explore Your Passions. We have many resources related to resumes, interviews, cover letters, LinkedIn profiles, all of those things. We call it marketing ourselves for that job search. We have many resources here. And we have so many events for them to participate in. With COVID, our events are virtual. We have pivoted and really worked to make these user-friendly for our students. So we do have workshops that are coming up related to exploring majors and careers. We have workshops coming up that are more geared toward the job search emphases, as well as those who are thinking about grad school. And then we have recruiting events. We call them career fairs. So tomorrow, if you have a STEM Tiger, then they may want to, click into this and learn about this. But different focuses for the different career events that we have coming up virtually. So much to see there. And of course, you can see that we have additional tabs that are rich with resources for you, right? As well as for your students. And so I am taking a quick glance to see if I may have missed anything. Wow, I think I did pretty good, actually. So I think, Lindsay, that it might be time to stop sharing and pass that baton back over to you.
Thank you, Joyce. That was wonderful. The only other thing I wanted them to see is that they can make appointments with you.
All right, very good. I will step into that. Thank you, Lindsay, for that reminder. Actually, your students all have a Navigate app, And that is now a really easy way for them to connect with us. However, as they move through college and want to connect with employers, internships, maybe part-time jobs, Handshake is where they will want to eventually connect. Handshake is how we connect them with our employers. I'm on our student alumni page. I'm going to click on student appointments and see if it responds. The internet. And when it does, it gives some coaching. That way you don't have to remember all this for them. You just can point them, help them know how to find this. The link that I show them is schedule a virtual one-on-one appointment in Handshake. But again, we coach them, we give them a lot of information here, but this will literally take them to their Handshake account. They sign on with their My LSU password, so they don't have to create a new account with a new password. Very user-friendly, and again, navigate also now, they can make appointments with us, and it's very easy. They're used to using Navigate for making appointments. Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you so much, Joyce. So she gave tons of great information and really how to navigate the website. And we really encourage your Tiger to take a look at this. We did record this session and we'll be posting it on our YouTube afterwards. So you will be able to show your Tiger and look back on how to navigate all those pages. So now that you've heard from the Olinde Career Center about some resources that they offer, I would like some of our current students and parents to share their advice and really what their expertise is and their experience. So I am going to turn it over to my colleague, Carly Bordelon. She is our graduate assistant for Parent and Family Programs, and she will introduce the panel.
Thanks, Lindsay. So we know that many of our families really enjoy hearing from parents and students firsthand for tips and advice about choosing their major. So let's go ahead and meet our student and parent panelists for this evening that are joining us to share these really awesome experiences. So first, Butch Caligari, if you would introduce yourself for us.
Hi, everybody. My name is Butch Caligari. I live in Houston. My daughter Elizabeth is a senior there. I have a son who graduated, I don't know, several years ago. My wife and I both graduated in the 80s. So we have 4 kids that have been through college. This is the end. I see the light. It's not a train. And happy to share whatever I can with y'all.
Thank you, Butch. And we have Bryn Costarella with us tonight as well.
Hi, everyone. My name is Bryn Costarella. I'm a senior anthropology major from Monrovia, California, and I'm really excited to be here with all of you.
Thank you, Bryn. And we have Caitlin Touche as well.
Hi, I'm Caitlin Touchette. I'm a kinesiology major. I'm a junior from Erath, Louisiana.
Thank you, Caitlin. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started with our questions this evening. So first off, for our student panelists joining us tonight, Caitlin, we'll start off with you. Have you changed your major or added minors since you've been at LSU? And if so, kind of how many times have you done that?
Okay, so I changed my major once in the middle of my sophomore year. I was a biology pre-med major and I switched to kinesiology pre-physical therapy.
Awesome. And what about you, Bryn?
So I have not changed my major. I came in with the original major that I had decided. However, I did add a minor along the way. So I'm a religious studies minor, and that kind of just happened by chance. I had taken a couple classes and my counselor let me know, hey, you only need 3 more classes to make this a minor. So I went ahead and did that, and they fit into my electives, and it worked perfect.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, the next one will start out with you, Butch. So what are some of the deciding factors that motivated your Tiger to select their current major and or minor?
She's a communications major and with a minor in fashion merchandising. She excuse me, she's changed within that a couple of times. She always wanted to do something communications related. She also wanted to be part of the manship school, in large part because of its reputation. Frankly, she got into it and decided she didn't want to do that. She started out in event planning, and she was lucky enough to have an internship doing event planning, and she came back from that summer and said, "Oh no, there's too many bridezillas. I'm not doing this," and switched. So it was the real life experience that you get when you go in and do that. One of the things that I observe is that when they pick their major, they don't really know what it's going to do when they get out. And even if they know what they're going to do 10 years from now, nobody tells them what they're going to do when they start. And it's a rude awakening for all of my kids as to what they were actually going to do when they first started. Now, 3 years into it, they're doing something completely different. But, that's one of the things I found it's tough for young people to wrap their head around.
Yeah, definitely. And that's a good resource that Ms. Joyce mentioned with the ONET, where you can kind of explore in those majors.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Thank you. Bryn, what about you? What are some of the deciding factors that motivated you to choose your current major and or minor?
So for me, I, all growing up, wanted to be a veterinarian, and then got to high school and realized after, I think, maybe a career fair that it was a lot more schooling that I had originally thought about. And so I kind of took a step back and evaluated, just what my personal passions were in life, and then also looked at some of the classes that I excelled in high school and truly enjoyed. And so through that, I did some of my own exploring and research, and this was before I knew I was coming to LSU, so of course I didn't use the Olinde Career Center, and happened upon anthropology. And so basically what my major is the study of humankind and their culture, and then like anatomy and prehistory and things like that. And yeah, it was just something that really captivated my interest and something that I knew I could do a plethora of things with. So yeah.
Thank you. Caitlin, what were some of the deciding factors that motivated you to choose your major?
So I had a kind of similar backstory to Bryn. I also too wanted to be a vet, but that was like before this. But in high school, I thought I wanted to be a surgeon. So coming into LSU, that's what my plan was. And then once I started getting into my sophomore year, I wasn't learning what I wanted to be learning. I wanted to learn more about anatomy, how the body moves, more about that than just like cells. So that changed it. I have a past as an athlete and a dancer, so that was a big deciding factor. It was more catered to what I love to do. So that also with the schooling, it's a lot less than medical school, even though it's sort of similar. And just how I wanted my future to run. Like I wanted to start a family, all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
That's great. Yeah, turning your high school passions into something that you can use. That's awesome. So we're going to throw this next one back to Caitlin as well. So were your parents initially supportive of your major career decisions?
Yeah, so she was actually expecting me to change it earlier. She knew how unhappy I was. I would always call her crying that I didn't like this class or I wasn't doing well in another one. And she was extremely supportive. She's my rock, and she understood everything I wanted. And yeah.
That's sweet. Bryn, what about you? Was your family initially supportive of your career changes?
Yeah, my family has always been super supportive of me, and I guess kind of to add on to the last question, but to go into this one as well, my parents kind of supported and fueled my major choice, because growing up, I mean, we traveled a lot and it was always going to museums, and they instilled that appreciation of culture in me from a young age. My dad was an avid watcher of the History Channel, so I would end up on the couch with him watching that. My mom is also an educator and has just always encouraged me to be curious about the world and, follow my passions. And so I think, yeah, it has always been from the start, my parents have been supporting me.
Awesome. Now, from our parents' perspective, Butch, were you initially supportive of your Tigers' career decision? What were some of your thoughts surrounding that?
I don't want to say I was not supportive because that would not be accurate, but I also don't want to say that I thought it was the greatest idea in the world. Okay. What I try to do with her and with her older brothers. And the brother just before her that went to LSU had a very focused degree that he switched several times before he ended up there. And his is in emergency or disaster management. It was a reasonably new degree a few years ago. And so what I did with both of them is I said, okay, look, here's what you need to understand as you get out of this. When you finish school, your goal is going to be to get a job. So understand what kind of jobs are going to be available and look at what your salary is going to be. And if that's not where you want to be, then you got to go a different direction. As long as you know what to expect when you come out of it, that here's what opportunities are going to be there, and this is the kind of lifestyle you'll need to live. You know, if you want to be a teacher, this is what your salary is going to be. Here's the good and the bad with it. If you want to go into PR, here's the good and the bad of it. Okay. It'd be great to be the president's secretary, but you're not going to start there. You know, you got to do something for 20 years before you get to be that point. And it's going to be pretty tough along the way. And as long as you understand that, then we can be real supportive. And that was the approach I take, not only with them, but with the other college students that I mentor, is that know what you're getting into, have some realistic expectations about what your life is going to be like based on your salary level and what that's going to mean for you today. You know, if you're an engineer, you're going to get out making $90,000 a year if you graduate towards the top of your class, but you're never going to go out. You know, I got one son who did that. He went 3.5 years, never asked for extra money because he never went out. Well, his senior year, after he had a job, very nice job, he called and said, well, now that I'm doing this, I'm going out. I don't have enough money anymore. And so it's all about the expectations and what they know and what they have to experience as they go through. So, like I said, when I say I wasn't supportive and I was supportive at the same time, it's really about educating them, because in the end, they've got to live with it. I don't have to go to their job every day. They do. And I want to, as a parent, all of us need to make sure that they have the correct expectations and they know what they're getting into and help support that choice once they understand what they're doing. You know, and there are going to be times where they'll call very excited because something happened, and other times where they're like, which my daughter is experiencing now, boy, it's really tough to find a job right now. And I'm like, yeah, honey, it is. It is tough right now, you know, especially today. A lot of companies aren't hiring that used to be. And, you know, that's just the nature of it.
Great. Those were really awesome points, and setting expectations and kind of making that plan of action. It was really smart to have that conversation. Bryn, did your parents or family ever have conversations with you when you were deciding about your career path?
So I'm actually at that crossroads right now because I am a senior, and so I'll be graduating in May. And so my master plan, grand plan is to go on to grad school and then get my PhD. I would love to be a professor and do research, but kind of, you know, what Butch is saying and what we've been talking about is there's that in-between moment of, you know, getting to where you want to be 10 years down the road and what it looks like in between. And so lucky for me, like I have had internships and other job opportunities throughout my college career that have kind of given me a taste of, you know, the different in-between opportunities that I have. So I've worked at a museum before. I also work for one of my professors right now doing data entry. And so, you know, they're both fantastic jobs, but not something that I would want to be doing in the long run, especially not on the lower end. I would love to run a museum or be the professor, you know, performing research. But it is definitely, yeah, something that we talk about. And I think we just have, you know, confidence in the fact that I'll end up where I'm supposed to end up, and just to, you know, don't get too down on stuff that may come in the way or things that don't end up working out.
Thank you. Caitlin, what about you? What conversations did your family and you have when talking about your career path?
So we didn't have too many conversations because I was kind of set whenever I did have goals. I did have a set career path that I wanted to, but we've had conversations of the transition into what I am now, what I'm going into like right now. I'm a physical therapy tech at a clinic here in Baton Rouge. So getting that experience and learning from actual therapists is really kind of almost doing the same as the conversation. It's making me sure of what I'm doing right now and what I'm studying and what I want to be.
That's awesome. Okay, so we will start this last question with Bryn. So have you utilized any of the resources at our Olinde Career Center or other campus departments that have kind of helped you find your major and solidify that choice? And if so, how did those resources help you out?
Yeah, so I do. I mean, all students are encouraged to sign up for a Handshake account. And so I've not used it during my time at LSU, but I'm using it actively right now in my job search for after graduation. And then I've also used the Olinde Career Center for resume building and things like that. So yeah.
Awesome. So with your resume building, how does that process kind of look? Has that helped you kind of into that path being a senior?
Yeah, so it was super easy. I just sent an email and I was given some tips. I did not go in for an advising session just yet. This was kind of at the end of last semester, and then finals came and it was like, okay, you'll do this in the spring. But I do have plans to go and do that, but they do provide you with some preliminary tricks and tips and like different resources through that initial email that I found helpful in, creating kind of an outline or just getting started before I go in there and actually have them fine tune it and give me tips and pointers that'll make it the best.
Great. So the Olinde Career Center has so many resources beyond just finding your major too. So make sure to keep that in mind for your Tigers moving forward. Caitlin, what about you? Have you utilized any resources from the Career Center? And if so, how did those resources help you out?
Yeah, so I've used quite a lot. So whenever I was in the process of changing my major, I used the assessments that Joyce talked about, the focus 2, the type focus. So I wanted to stay in the healthcare field, so I kind of already had an idea of that, but that just helped me solidify what I wanted to do. I had heard of kinesiology. I didn't really know exactly what it was, and that helped me to figure out what it was and what I could do with that. And also, like Bryn, I've used the resume builder, and I went in for an advising meeting. I had like a little small resume from high school. I brought that in. She told me what to take out. She told me what I could add on. She gave me a big book with so much stuff. I had examples, everything, and that really helped me to build my resume, and that eventually helped me get a job. So
that is great to hear. That is the end goal, getting a job. So awesome. Butch, what about you? Did your Tiger utilize any resources at the Career Center or in other departments throughout campus? And if so, how did those resources help them?
My first one, my son didn't utilize any of them. He actually worked for Disney, and he started that on his own, and he arranged a I thought it was summer, but turned into a 7-month internship with them, which turned into permanent employment. So he didn't use that. My daughter, I actually talked to her about it today. She has used it, and she's had, kind of some mixed results with it. She used it first a couple of years ago and had really, fairly good results with it. Someone went in and she made an appointment and she visited with somebody about her resume, and she got, some help with that. They didn't have a whole lot of comments, and she's not sure if that's just because her brothers and other people looked at it first or what. But, that was a good experience. She said she's done some of the short drop-in things, and those haven't been as good because they've kind of bounced her around from person to person. But once she got to the person that, she was supposed to talk to, and they narrowed it down, she said it was fairly productive. Most of her help has been through her professors at the manship school. she's gone to them and they've kind of pointed her to specific openings that they knew of and contacts that they had, and kind of helped specify her resume for those openings based upon what the contacts that they knew would be looking for. So she got some pretty specialized help from her professors. And I think it's just because of the size of the classes in the school there. Okay. If your student is in a major or in a department where they know the folks, that's a great source for everything. For what do you do? How did you get there? You know, and it's, you know, so she's had pretty good results. Through the family council, I was forwarded I guess a link a couple days ago, and I forwarded that to her. And when I talked to her today, she said that she hadn't looked at it in a while and that there were a lot of good things on it. So I expect her to start utilizing that. One of the things that I'll suggest to parents and to the two students here is that what I've discovered with my kids and the kids I mentor is that they really don't know how to network. Okay. And somebody has to teach you how to do it in the same way that somebody had to teach us how to do it. So to the extent that they can do mock interviews, it's great. But if you'll sit down with your students, with your Tigers, and say, okay, look, so how are you going to get a job? You know, how are you looking for these things? What are you looking for? You know, as an example, one of the young men that I was working with said, well, my mom's making some calls. And I'm like, bomb, wrong answer. You know, here's what you need to do. You need to get a list of your mom's friends and you need to call them. And here's why. And when you call them, you need to say, tell me your story. Because everybody who's working likes telling their story. And as they do, they become more comfortable and you can start asking them questions and develop a relationship with them. And after a couple of discussions with them, if you connect, they'll start putting you to other people. And your job isn't going to come from the first 2 or 3 people you see. That person's going to refer you to one person, and they're going to go to someone else, and they're going to go to someone else. And it's going to be the 4th referral that may not even know the first person you talk to. And that's just how the system works. And until somebody walks them through that and gives them the confidence to make those calls, you know, it's really scary. It's, you know, I remember doing it. It was very scary. And you know, that's the best thing we can do as parents is give them those tools so that they can succeed and help them and, you know, open up our contact list to them and, you know, let them go with it. The other thing I've done, certainly with my daughter, and, you know, as a man, I really never had a lot of perspective on it until she got older, is how different the market she faces is, you know, just being a woman as opposed to what I faced. And so the other thing that I've done, and I encourage you to do with your Tigers, put them in touch with people that are just business leaders or leaders in general, and let them talk to them, and that'll help them focus what they need to do. Because whether the person is an accountant or an engineer or a CEO, they all know people that are their peers, and they can direct them. And, you know, the more people you talk to, the more likely they are to get an internship or a job or whatever it is. And we just have to help encourage them and give them those tools.
Great, thank you. Yeah, definitely networking is really essential. And then same with the Olinde Career Center. If you're signed up for our family newsletters, they have so many events going on this semester. I know that they've been adding extra meetings and making sure that they're making so much time to meet with students and talk through their specifics with all of our students as well. So awesome. Thank you, Bryn, Caitlin, and Butch for joining us tonight. Thanks for sharing all of these really useful experiences and tips. I loved hearing from Butch as well on what families can do specifically to help their Tiger with resources. So we're actually going to move on to our question and answer section now. So as a reminder, you can submit your questions using the Q&A feature in Zoom or in the comment section of Facebook. And if you want to hear specifically from any one of our speakers or Miss Joyce as well, please include their name when you ask that question. Okay, we we will just wait and see if we have some questions rolling in. And Ms. Joyce said as well, on the student career guide, there's also some networking tips on page 44. That would be very useful for your Tiger as well.
We do have some networking workshops as well. And I think you
good.
mentioned that, Carly,
Yeah.
but I love Butch. Thank you for that encouragement regarding networking.
Carly, would it be okay if I added something about the networking moment?
Yes, definitely.
So in my experience, I'm a student leader on campus, and I've been involved in like several different organizations, and I've found even through getting involved in that way, even though it might not be specifically geared towards my major, I meet people through those events and activities that I do that have allowed me to network and find different opportunities as well. So that would be a good tip for incoming Tigers or Tigers that are already here to just get involved, and you will find opportunities in the most unlikely of places.
Definitely, that's awesome, thank you. Okay, we have some questions. So one question is, when does a major have to be declared for an undecided major? And I know Ms. Joyce can probably help answer this one.
Yeah, I'll step into that. What's great is that freshmen really can come in not having a major declared. And I think that is a positive, a strength at LSU. That is not true at every major university. And, right, they have to declare a major at some point or they won't graduate. So in general, they do have their first 3 semesters. After each semester, their first and second, they will get some pressure to meet with a counselor, an academic counselor, and discuss how that's going, what they're deciding. By the end of their 3rd semester is really when LSU begins to force that a little bit, really put the pressure on, just so, again, that student is making some decisions that can move them toward graduation. So in general, it would be by the end of the 3rd semester.
Okay, and then this is a question for our students or for Ms. Joyce. What do you suggest for students who are completely undecided? Any tips?
Carly, can you repeat that, please? I'm sorry, I was reading the chat.
Sorry. So what do you suggest for students who are completely undecided?
You know, I think everything that Butch and Caitlin and Bryn have mentioned, as well as some of the suggestions, I believe the ones that are truly undecided are either overwhelmed by having to make the decision or just simply don't have enough information either about themselves or the majors or the careers. I mean, it's something that's feeding that indecision. I will offer that, you know, in the Career Center, we love meeting with students to facilitate that conversation, to engage the thought process, to help them take a next step toward gathering information either about themselves, right, career assessments, or, you know, diving in a little bit to explore. Huge fan, Bryn, I love that you brought out student organizations. I think part-time work, I think student organizations, I think evaluating, do I like this class or not? How's it going? All of those are information-rich resources to inform. So ultimately, I think it's just being willing to say, I need help. And then, you know, the Center for Freshman Year is terrific. They do often refer students to us, but they also have great conversations with students. And you parents who are super open to having those conversations with your Tigers, I would encourage, yeah, that interaction as well.
If I can add something to that, my experience is that they also need a little bit more confidence in themselves, okay? And once you can gain a little bit of that, it helps get rid of that overwhelming sense of what's going on, because you feel like, okay, I can do this. I can handle this piece and this piece. And so in addition to using those resources, introduce them, suggest that they talk to other adults that are your friends. And again, the decision is, How did you decide what you were going to do and why, and how has it worked out? What would you do differently? And all they're really there for, not to ask for a job or anything like that, but just to learn. And after they've had about 3 or 4 of those, they realize I can do this. I can have an adult conversation that deals with what I'm going to do when I grow up. And somewhere along the way, one of the people they talk to is going to say, well, I didn't know what I was going to do completely for 10 years. So this is what I did along the way. And as they hear that from people that are already out there living and working and successful, that'll give them the confidence to say, well, it's okay if I don't know everything today. I'll figure it out and I'll start eliminating things. And then all of a sudden the canvas isn't as large and they're focusing on smaller things. That confidence in yourself is so important.
Awesome. Thank you, Butch. And Joyce, another question. The meetings that you were talking about, I can't recall which one specifically, but probably some of the programming. Are some of those in person? Are they all through Zoom?
Yes, so currently all of our interactions, and I'm going to qualify that, but basically are virtual. We are trying to keep our students healthy and our staff. So we do Zoom meetings, which are rich, interactions, and our workshops are virtual. We look to engage the students. We have different lengths of time. Some are, shorter than others. We do drop-ins, and Butch, I heard you about, how that was for your daughter. And so we do have drop-ins, and those really are triaged, and those we're limiting the amount of time of breathing exposure as well. So we really can't do any kind of deep dives. So that's why I don't really want to suggest that that's the best way for students to interact with us. But yes, all of those workshops, Carly, are virtual.
Awesome. Thank you. Do any of our panelists have any last minute tips or advice that they would like to share with our families joining us tonight?
Going off of Bryn earlier, I would strongly encourage students, once they do find something that they like, go out, see if there are any clubs that are involved with their major. Like I'm in a club that is for my major, and then I'm also in a club that's specifically for my concentration as a physical therapist. And I've gotten so much information from like volunteers to like actually going into PT school, like the process for that, and it also helped me get a job as a tech. So I would strongly encourage, once they do find something they really like, stick with it and look for extra help and things like that.
Thank you, Caitlin. Anybody else have any last minute tips?
Kind of like what Butch was saying earlier about networking and, having your parents provide you with like friends or family friends to speak with them about their professional experience. If you're a student or like you are a parent and you don't necessarily have those resources to provide your child with, encourage them to reach out to their professors. I mean, they're there and they love when you come to office hours, and they're going to love you to come to office hours and ask them about what they do and how they got to where they were. Basically what Butch was saying earlier about speaking to just, family friend professionals, but also your professors as well.
The thing I would say to all the parents is they'll get through it. You'll get through it. It'll have some bumps along the way, but you know what? People have been graduating and getting jobs for hundreds of years. They're still going to. It's scary. You can't change that. Just like when they started learning how to play baseball or ride a bike or dance or whatever it was, you just have to keep at it. And the more you do, the better you'll get at it, and it'll work out. We got to remember our job as parents is to give them the tools, the arrows in their quiver so that they can be successful. And if we do that, it'll come back to us 100-fold.
What a beautiful way to wrap that up, Butch. That is awesome. Thank you all so much for joining us, all of our panelists. I'm going to turn it back over to Lindsay with some last minute information for all of our families. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed all of that content and all of the experiences that all of our panelists and presenters shared. I want to just do a few things and reminders. So we have a list of all of these additional resources, the links to what we've talked about, listed on our website under lsu.edu/family. There's a webinar tab underneath communications. We also have on our website a list of all of our upcoming webinars and recordings from past webinars. So we encourage you to check those out. We hope you can join us for our next webinar on Tuesday, February 23rd at 6 p.m. again, Central Time, and that will be all about making the most of Family Weekend. Family Weekend is scheduled to be held March 5th and 7th, and we will share details about what that schedule of events will look like and opportunities for you to get plugged in and be engaged with our office. We'll also have another one with the Career Center on Tuesday, March 30th. We hope you can join us. We'll dive more into that resume building as well as some summer experiences for your Tiger to consider. So join us for all of our upcoming webinars. We really hope you've enjoyed the content for tonight, and you can check out those past recordings as well. We hope that you consider joining our Family Association if you are not already a member. Butch is one of our Family Association and Family Council members. It is a great way to get involved and help share your perspective, engage with other Tiger families, and take advantage of some really wonderful benefits. You can find out more on our website at lsu.edu/join. And then I'd be so grateful if you could fill out our quick survey. It just takes a couple of minutes. We have the QR code on the screen there. If you have your phone handy, you can just hold open the camera, hold that up, and then a little drop down will appear to pull up the link. I know that Carly is also putting it in the chat and the comment section on Facebook, so you can go directly to our survey. We'd love your feedback about tonight and any future topics that you may be interested in learning more about. In addition, there's a place for you to put your email address. It is optional. If you list your email address, that is how we're going to share all of the information that was presented tonight, including those additional resources and links. So make sure you put your email if you'd like follow-up communication from us specifically about tonight. And leave that on a screen for just a minute so everybody gets that. Okay, and if you have any questions for our office or you'd like to continue a conversation with any of our panelists or the Olinde Career Center, we encourage you to email us directly at lsufamily@lsu.edu, and we will connect you with that panelist or unit. We also encourage you to follow us on social media to stay in the know about upcoming events and reminders for you and your Tiger. We're here to support you, and so we have plenty of information to share, and you can follow us on Facebook or Instagram listed below. So we really enjoyed this evening. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll stick around for just a few moments. So if you have any questions, go ahead and put those in the Q&A or the comments on Facebook. And if not, I want to thank our panelists, thank Carly, thank Joyce again, and have a wonderful evening. Go Tigers!